Yo, what's happening, y'all? Welcome in to a brand new episode of Snaps. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. It is officially Valentine's Day, and myself and Aaron Murray, and look at that, I already got flowers.
I
So
got,
those
I got
for
this for you,
me.
T-Bob. This for you,
Oh, that's so
T-Bob.
sweet.
This for
Reach it
you.
out towards the camera, and I'll reach out and grab
Hey,
some.
good news, everyone. The flowers that were on my front door yesterday were not from T-Bob to my wife. They were actually my neighbor's flowers that got delivered to the wrong address. So there's no scandal in the Murray household, which I was very happy about. No scandal.
So I think you buried the lead here, Aaron. Maybe good news for you that the flowers weren't from me, but better news for me that Sharon was upset that the flowers weren't from me. Okay. I mean, big news from your boy, dude. Look at this chest I'm putting on display, dude. What, you think she likes the little, think she wants a little cleavage there? Welcome into Snaps. Yeah, well, she obviously does like a hairy chest. I mean, there's a reason why you are called Furry Murray. Happy Valentine's Day, Master. Everybody else hanging out with us here in the chat. We got you a special gift for Valentine's today, and it's some fresh baked Mike Bobo takes as Georgia is in the news, replacing one offensive coordinator with another. I just went and had lunch, and check this out. On the way out, I just found a giant chorizo sausage just ready to eat. And I was like, I'm going to try this thing out. And, it's pretty good. I wasn't sure what to expect just eating like a store temp chorizo, but the initial taste isn't great, but it gets better over time. Maybe like Mike Bobo's going to be. We'll see. Look, check it out. Sign up to the FanDuel Sportsbook app, promo code SNAPS, and sub to the pod, share with your friends, all that good stuff. Ravens 76B More says, I'm happy with this signing. Baltimore. Well, you should be. You got a very good offensive coordinator. Man, Aaron Murray told you was the key piece to get this Georgia Bulldog team across the finish line over the last 2 years. Aaron, bigger deal. What is going on in my brain right now? Todd. Okay, bigger deal. Todd Monken. I think the chorizo's got in my brain. Bigger deal. Todd Monken leaving or Mike Bobo being hired?
I think bigger deal. Todd Monken leaving Georgia to go to the NFL. And I kind of anticipated this. We talked about this about a month or so ago when some of the rumors started circulating a little bit about, if you have an opportunity to go to the NFL, get your ass and go to the NFL. If you're a coach, it's a lot easier life. So I can't sit here and blame Todd Monken. I don't think any Georgia fan could blame Todd Monken. I think they all are appreciative of what he's done over the past few years of energizing this offense, taking it to the next level. I mean, that was the one piece that was really missing. You knew Kirby was going to get the defense right. Could you find a way on offense to keep up? And I thought they've done a really great job on that side of the football. And I honestly think Todd Monken, to me, is a top 3 coordinator in college football right now. And it's different. It's not Tennessee. It's not USC. It's not your traditional way of creating offense. It's not 3-4 receivers, 11-10 personnel. It's 12 personnel. It's utilizing tight ends. It's utilizing backs. It's literally the same blueprint that Kansas City has been using with Andy Reid and how they've been able to dominate, using tight ends, using running backs. And obviously, Kansas City's had Patrick Mahomes. We've had Stetson Bennett. That's a little bit of a different story. But anyways, like he's
not to you.
Yeah, not to me. He's one of the best in the game. So once again, I'm not surprised that he was given opportunities to interview. Not surprised that he's going on and being the, now coordinator back in the NFL. So he will be missed. To me, that's the bigger news because you lose a top 3 offensive mind in college football. I think that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say, man. If he is as good as you were saying, so you're losing a top 3 guy and you're replacing him with Mike Bobo. Here is the official press release from Georgia Sports Communications. Mike Bobo taking over Bulldog offensive coordinator duties. Mike Bobo has accepted the role of offensive coordinator for Georgia's football program for the second time in his career after OC/quarterbacks coach Todd Monken accepted a similar spot with the Ravens on Tuesday. Monken finishes a 3-year stint that saw the Bulldogs win back-to-back national championships thanks to an offense that scored 38.6 and 41.1 points this past season. Quote, we are, this quote from Kirby Smart. We are extremely thankful and appreciative of the 3 years of Todd and his wife. We wish him the best as he moves on to the Ravens organization. I am excited to name Mike Bobo our next OC. Mike has a decade of experience as a successful SEC play caller and over 20 years spent as UGA, both as a player and coach. Mike was an excellent addition to our staff last year as an analyst, and we are looking forward to his expanded leadership on the offensive side of the ball. This is, Aaron, help me explain a bit of a disconnect here when it comes to Mike Bobo, because in my, in some of my friend groups that have Georgia fans in them, immediately when the Monken news came out, like one of my Georgia buddies texted immediately, like, okay, anybody but Bobo. And then Bobo gets named, right? And Bobo's very funny because it's a name that you recognize from the past. And look, it is high comedy right now that Georgia, as they attempt to go for a third national championship in a row, have Will Muschamp and Mike Bobo as the coordinators. Now, don't bring up Schumann. Don't step on the joke, right? It is very funny that Will Muschamp and Mike Bobo are trying to get the three-peat. But when you look at Bobo's resume, it is very strong. And then you look at Kirby Smart, who, like, obviously you have to implicitly trust Kirby Smart's leadership at this point. He just spent another year with the guy to see if he was still up to snuff, like still ahead of the curve when it comes to offensive theory, and he feels good enough to hire him as OC. Why are Georgia fans, at least a lot of them, why are they so turned off by Mike Bobo?
There was always the he would get crap, made fun of, bashed, whatever word you want to use, from Georgia fans for certain third down situations. And I feel like it's been overblown. Like the third in Bobo, the third in Grantham, calling a run play in a third and 5, third and 6 situation. Like,
LSU
once
had
you do it a
third
couple
and
times, like it just doesn't ever, like, that's the biggest thing. Like, if you want to go look at the actual stats of like what he was able to accomplish as the offensive coordinator at Georgia during his heyday. And I'll go to my stats, not my stats, but when I was there. 2010, fourth in the SEC in scoring points per game, 32 points per game. 2011, fourth in the SEC at 32 points per game. 2012, third in the SEC at 38 points per game. 2013, fifth in the SEC at 37 points per game. And then the year I left, I guess I was the one holding them back. 2014, they were number 1 in the SEC with 41 points per game. So,
wait, who was quarterback? Why am I blanking? Who's quarterback?
Good old Hudson Mason. Good old Hudson
Mason led him to 41 a game with Mike Bobo as the OC.
Shocked too.
This is a year that I don't know. Like, I've completely erased that from my memory. I don't remember that at all.
I think they had the fourth rushing offense. That was when Todd Gurley was his final year. So Todd was going off. Not to take anything away from Hudson, but they were actually number 3 in the SEC with just under 300 yards passing per game. So I guess it was my fault why they were not higher. Dude. Yeah. But anyways, like, the stats don't lie.
At my house. Sorry, we're talking all over. There's a 2-second delay.
Top 4. Ahead, Aaron, sorry. A top 4 offense in the SEC during his prime. So, and I would say right now, Georgia's in a better position when it comes to skill players. I think they have some really good, quarterbacks, really good, I would say, better offensive line, better, some of the best offensive line play that we've ever seen Georgia have. We've seen over the past 3 or 4 seasons. So I think he's in a really good position to the one that he's been there for a year as an analyst. He's kind of seen what Monken has been able to do, seen the kind of magic sauce, the preparation week in and week out. So I don't think, like, all of a sudden you're going to see a very different offense. This is still going to be an offense that utilizes the tight ends, that utilizes the backs, that finds ways to create matchups. Obviously, he will have his own spin on it, his own version of it. But he's a great offensive mind. It just, the third and Bobo crap is what's got him. And that's what just fans just like laugh about. But I think that is way, 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 way overblown right now.
Now, is it also kind of the fact, though, that he's basically been out of college football consciousness for a while? Now, he's still been around.
Mm,
Like, he was just a coordinator
yeah.
at South Carolina and Auburn, but he hasn't had an offense that astounds in a while, right? And like you
Yep.
said, we got to remember the context here is replacing a top three mind in all of college football, a guy in Monken who just averaged 501 yards and over 40 points a game last season. And so I was like, okay, let's look at what Bobo did after he left Georgia to see about, okay, where did he kind of end up? So he leaves Georgia, he goes to be the head coach at Colorado State from 2015 to 2019. The overall record isn't great, but I don't really care about overall record, right? Like I'm just looking at the offense.
Mhm.
Well, year number one in 2015, pretty good start. They averaged 29.6 a game. They finished fifth in the Mountain West. 2016, big jump. They go up to third in the Mountain West, averaging 35 points a game. In 2017, they finished first in the Mountain West, averaging 33 points a game. So it's like, okay, dude, Bobo's rolling, man. He's got this thing going. But then I don't
Mhm.
know exactly what happened. In 2018,
Quarterback injuries.
falls all the way down to ninth, 23 points a game. In 2019, seventh at 28 points a game, then gets fired, becomes the South Carolina OC. They finished 10th in the SEC, 23 and a half a game. Goes to Auburn in 21. They finish 11th in the SEC
Mhm.
with 28 points a game. So I want to be clear. I'm going to make a bold prediction here, Aaron. I'm going to say that
Uh-oh.
Mike Bobo probably has more success at Georgia than he did at South Carolina at Auburn.
Yes.
It's a funny
Yes.
thing about coaching football. If you have players who are just quite literally just better than the other players, it tends to make you look like a
Mhm.
pretty good coach, right? Like there's a reason why Peyton Manning got Adam Gase multiple NFL head coaching jobs. It's
Mhm.
ridiculous, but it's how it works. So look, I think Bobo is going to be better than these numbers, but if you're talking about Monken being kind of at the forefront and ahead of the curve, this recent 5-year resume does not speak to a coach that is ahead of the curve.
No. No, it's been a struggle for Bobo. I'm not gonna lie. Early on in my career with CBS, I covered a lot of Mountain West games. So I covered Bobo
Oh,
3 times a year there at Colorado State, and kind of got to see some of the struggle, especially later on there as a head coach. And not to make excuses for him, but I will make excuses for him, I guess. There a lot of injuries at the quarterback position. His starting quarterback tore his ACL 3 times during his time there at Colorado State. So you get him ready, you give him all the reps in spring and summer, Colin Hill, and then boom, he tears his ACL. Next year, he's the guy, tears his ACL again. So like quarterback problems there at at at
sheesh.
at, at Colorado State was his big bugaboo. South Carolina didn't really have a quarterback. They rotated a bunch of guys, 5 guys that year. That's a problem. And then at Auburn, there was just a lot of hostility between him and why am I
Harson?
drawing a blank on the head coach and Harson? A
Brian
lot of
Harson?
hostility between him and Brian Harson. Like those two were just always
Yeah,
clashing
Brian
on,
Harson was awful in Auburn.
who's gonna run the plays, whose offense is it going to be? Is it Bobo's offense? Is it Harson's offense? There was never a trust factor. I mean, there's a reason why both him and Derek Mason both essentially moved on from Auburn after only 1 year, is because of Harson kind of putting a stranglehold on that entire coaching staff. So really was never given an opportunity to make that offense his own. All that being said, you hit the nail on the head though. He's going to have the best talent that he's had in 7 or 8 years. That's a big deal. Like we always talk about it, man. It's about the Jimmies and Joes. Like if you got better players, it's a lot easier to have success because a lot of things are going to work. If I have Brock Bowers and you want to put a linebacker or a safety on Brock Bowers, 95% of the chance he's going to win that matchup. That's just Georgia's personnel. So I think he's in a great situation right now to kind of please the fans. But I mean, the expectations are going to be
Ha!
high. I mean,
Ha! Ha!
extremely
You
high.
think he's in a great situation to please the fans? That is the only thing I will push back on. He's in an awful position to please the fans.
Yes,
He's replacing
I was
someone
about
who
to
had
say that.
100. He's replacing someone who had 100% approval rate. He already has an inherent built-in amount of the fan base that thinks that he sucks. He's going to have to be working in a new starting quarterback that's going after Stequavius, who's coming off of back-to-back natties and playing nearly flawless football in the biggest moments. You're dealing with a Georgia culture that is going to continue to soften, okay? As much as Kirby wants guys to eat off the floor, you can only win so many championships and still eat off the floor. Now, you may convince yourself you're eating off the floor. But when you really look, you've suddenly laid linens on the floor and you're eating off of china and you have gold rimmed forks and whatnot. So like one of my favorite things that Dan Carlin always talks about in hardcore history, it's a historical truth. Wooden clogs on the way up, silk slippers on the way down.
Oh,
Once you
yeah.
get that wealth, you get that championships, you lose the very edge that made you who you were. You lose in Grantham. The new quarterback, like I said, impossible expectations. I think Georgia could be due. And look, it's not the numbers are going to be awful, right? They're going to be awful compared to the rest of the SEC, but they may be way under what Georgia fans are expecting. And if we really believe that Monken is the piece that pushed them over the top, all of a sudden that leads to a more vulnerable Georgia. And for Georgia, vulnerability may mean one or two losses, right? It may mean like getting knocked out in the playoff or losing a national championship, but that's the bar now. The three-peat. You saw Kirby after the game. 1, 2, 3. Well, okay. Let's hope that he judged Mike Bobo correctly in this last year and he was an analyst.
What I was getting at was the fact that it's going to be easier in the sense of he has the personality. This is the most talented group of players Georgia's had in the past 4 years. Like this is, to me, this was the big year for Todd Monken, if he would have stayed, to really, really, really flex his muscles as possibly one of the best offenses in the country this year. Because they've flirted with that. And they've had moments in the past couple of years where they play really well. They've also had games where they've been very conservative. When you look at the moves they've made this offseason, and when you look at the quarterback situation, and I know there's a lot of fans that maybe don't know what's going on with the quarterback spot, I am very confident in Carson Beck. I think I've seen the kid for 3 years now. I think there's a lot of people in that building that are super high in what his abilities are and what he can do going forward. You bring back the best playmaker in all of college football. You bring back a very talented offensive line. You bring back your top receiver in McConkey. You also bring in 2 top receivers in the SEC, Lovett and Rah from Mississippi State. This is a loaded offense. This is an offense, to me, that is on the verge of taking a step forward. So yes, Bobo has been gifted a very good offense. He's been given the keys to a Corvette. Now it's just don't fuck it up. Like I agree with you. Like, yes, like there's going to be a lot of eyeballs and a lot of people waiting for him to screw up and waiting for them to have a game where they just completely crap the bed. And then the scapegoat is going to be Bobo. But knowing Bobo and knowing his personality, man, he's super excited about this. Like I said, they have more talent on this roster on offense than they've had in the past 4 or 5 years.
Has Bobo called you to be a quarterback's coach yet? Chat wants you to go be quarterback coach at UGA. If you keep doing snaps, I'll allow it.
You know, the problem is Kirby doesn't let coaches do interviews.
Shit. Well, tell Kirby to get out of here then, dude. Or you're going to find yourself.
I'm trying to think of like the number. If I got presented with a number, like, hey, Aaron, we'll give you this to be quarterback coach.
How much does it take for me to get on my knees in a 16-year-old's house? Like that.
Yes.
That's essentially the math that you're doing there, right? I feel you. I would probably fillet a 16-year-old for a few milli. Of course,
I'm not going to get paid a few milli to
metaphorically.
be a quarterback coach.
Metaphorically, you're right. You're right. You're right. But I'd probably fillet a teen for a few $100,000. Again, metaphorically. Here, y'all. B2B Visor says the last year Mike Bobo was OC at UGA, he averaged 41 a game. That is a stat that I keep seeing floating around, is that he technically averaged like half a point more than Monken and company did this season. Again, the argument here, though, if you want to be a Bobo doubter, is not he was never great. It's that we haven't seen him be great in a while, right? Like nobody is saying that Bobo was not a great coordinator. The numbers speak for themselves, like you said, with Hudson Mason, and that other guy.
Not me.
Him.
Screw me.
That other guy before.
He only helped produce the quarterback that owns every SEC record. But yeah.
Well, how about this? You did, Aaron, get him nominated for the Broyles Award in 2012. He was a finalist for the Broyles Award, and so that is thanks to you. But I'm kind of closer with Hudson than you, Aaron. You've never spent the night at my house. Hudson grew up. He's been on family vacations with us before. Wow. That's my guy, dude. So him and my little brother played AAU basketball together back in the day. Yeah, and now he's in the radio game, right?
Georgia must. I'm trying to look at it right now. So 2021, Georgia averaged 39 points per game. This past year, 41.
Yeah.
2020, 32 points per game. I think Bobo needs to get somewhere in the high 30s, and fans will be jolly. I think he'll be fine.
That's
The
fair. He
offense
should
is
be
too
able
good.
to. I mean, he should be able to.
I'm telling
He
you, the
should be
offense
able
is
to,
way too
100%.
good. Between the offense and the atrocious schedule they have, which is one of the easiest schedules I've ever seen, honestly, easier than the schedule they had this year, there should be no doubt. First 4 games of the season, he is to be scoring 50 points per game.
Yeah,
UT
that's
Martin,
true.
Ball State, South Carolina, and UAB all at home. And then
Okay.
at
So you
Auburn,
raised.
Kentucky, Vandy, Florida, Missouri, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Georgia Tech. There's not one elite defense on that schedule. So that is a problem. If Bobo doesn't score 38 points per game, I may get on this damn show and fire him, because that schedule is a bunch of cupcakes.
Okay, so that's what I was going to say. Interestingly here, now that we mentioned the schedule, which I continue to figure about, just an absolute joke of a schedule. Georgia should be ashamed of themselves. This schedule in and of itself is so soft, it's going to make Georgia softer through osmosis. See, continuing down. But you are right. With that schedule in mind, we probably won't see a massive statistical drop-off. And to your point, if we do, the pitchforks need to be out. And people need to be ready to fight. So then it's like, okay, well then is the actual problem if you do get into a playoff scenario or an SEC championship scenario, and is he going to be as good as Monken was in those games? And so it's like, okay, maybe next year you're not going to see any drop off from a statistical standpoint, but when it comes to actual wins, losses, and the game results, can he be as effective as Monken was?
I hope so. Once again, I'll go back to my original comments about Monken. Monken is a top 3 offensive mind in college football. Monken is one of the best. There's no doubt about it. I mean, honestly, if I had to pick a guy today of like, okay, Aaron, you're a head coach of Snaps University, go out there and go get an OCDC, I would pick Monken as my offensive coordinator. And I think if you ask a lot of people around college football who's a guy that is leading the charge for offensive innovation, it would be Todd Monken. So like, to me, that is what you're losing. And I think Bobo is a hell of a coordinator. I think Bobo is going to do a hell of a job. And I hope he proves everyone wrong. I hope he produces a top 2-3 offense in the SEC. And I think he's more than capable of doing that. So, but there's just going to be a lot of people really ready to start with the Boo Birds. But
I know the Bo Birds, the Boo Bobos,
the Bo Birds will be ready to go.
Andy J says, and I was actually meant to make this point earlier, and I do agree. He says, got to think there's be a drop off if you just look at the demand for Monken versus Bobo, and that's fair. But again, I can paint this thing either way, right? I do feel like it'll be a step back. But if I wanted to go like full UJ Homer fanboy, I would point out how good he was at Georgia before, like everybody's doing. I would point to the fact that it was not like he was hired from Auburn. He's been in the building for a year. Yep. He knows the offense. Obviously, him and Kirby really understand what each other wants to accomplish. And ultimately, college football is all about the head man.
All the boys are back in town. All the boys are back.
Do you trust Kirby? Do you trust Nick Saban? Okay, well then trust who they hire. Wait, so Stacey Searles is back in Athens?
Searles is back. BMAC's back. I mean, they have literally all the coaches that I was at Georgia with on offense are pretty much back. Bobo was the OC. Searles was the O-line coach, and BMAC was the running backs coach. And BMAC, I think, is a receiver coach now. Todd Hartley was a GA. He's a tight end coach. I mean, it is. I've talked to people in the building. They say it's like a frat house because all the boys, most of them played at Georgia. And it's a wild, wild time. Very entertaining coaches meetings from what I've heard.
Searles was he was the guy that originally recruited me at LSU back in the day, but he ended up leaving before I ever got to play with him to go to Georgia. But I'll never forget.
Searles says your hands were too small to be no line, so he decided.
No. Okay, look, don't let Stacy fool you. He might try talking some shit, but the second after I did board drills for that guy, he took me in his office and offered me immediately and was like sucking my dick. So whatever. Wow. I mean, dude, that's what you got to do when you're a high school coach. I remember it. He was like gassing me up. I felt incredible. Aaron, you got to say how much.
I got a great Searles story. I got a great Searles story about gassing kids up. So we were in the dining hall, and there was like 2 or 3 top offensive line in town. So we're eating. They show up, and I'm go talk to the guys. It's like my second or third year on campus, and one of the dumbass offensive linemen looks at Cyril and says, "Hey, coach, go get me some ice cream." And so, of course, like Cyril's like,
dude.
so Cyril's goes and gets some ice cream. So I go with Cyril's, and we're just talking about the kids. And Cyril's like, "This fucking kid, I'm going to whoop his ass as soon as he gets on campus."
I'm sorry. This was a recruit.
That
said this. I thought this was a player.
No.
God.
This was a recruit, like trying to act like, oh, Cyril's wants me, so I'm going to do it. So the kid committed to us, and our first mat drill, Cyril's wore his ass down all mat drill season, all spring season, and he told me too. Like, when we were getting ice cream, he's like, "This kid has no idea that if he commits to Georgia, I'm going to bust his ass." And he did.
Damn,
it's a two faces, man. You got to do whatever those kids want you to do when you recruit them. But as soon as they're on campus, come to daddy, because we're going to kick your ass. But now the problem is now you can't even do that, because if you are a hard ass on them,
he can
leave.
Just
hit the portal.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, whatever, dude. Right? If the kid leaves because you're hard on him, then you've done your job. You've weeded him out.
All right, second Cyril story, then I'll stop.
Oh yeah, give me another one. No, yeah.
So my roommate Arthur Lynch. So we do all around mat drills. So we're doing mat drills, and Cyril's was the one that gives you the thumbs down or thumbs up of like, did your group pass what you're done, or thumbs down, you have to go back and do it all over again. So we're freshman years, me, Arthur Lynch, our tight end, a couple other freshmen. We're just there. It's our day to get just our asses ripped. Like, we're doing everything perfect, but it's just our day.
It happens.
We've been through it like 6 times. We can't feel our legs. We finally get through it, and we get the thumbs up. And then he goes, wait, never mind, and goes in Arthur Lynch's face and goes, "Back in the line," and gives him a thumbs down in the face. And Arthur shoves him, pushes him. So all of a sudden, Sean Chappis and Fred Munzenmeyer and myself and all these dudes are like holding Arthur Lynch back, and Arthur's like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you," and Cyril's like, "Bring it!" Oh, I mean, it got so intense, and yeah.
Damn, dude.
We gotta love him.
Wait, so did this guy ever end up playing? So was he that much of a beast?
Yeah, he's been starting tight end for 2 years. Yeah.
Wow.
For 2 years. Yeah.
Wow.
This is our freshman year, though. This is freshman year. So we.
Munzenmeyer, another guy that I knew from back in the high school days. First spring break I was ever drinking. Actually, junior spring break, I was hanging out with Munzenmeyer the entire time. Really good time. Okay. I had a Stacey Searle story, but now it doesn't really stack up. When he was recruiting me in high school, I was trying to text my wife. She was then my girlfriend, and I just accidentally texted.
School?
No, but I accidentally texted Stacey Searles, "Good night, baby, I love you." And I did think that was kind of funny, but it doesn't really stack up now compared to your story. So way to go. You ruined this for me. I would love to see Coach Searles again, man. I've not talked to that guy since high school. Let's get to the chat here a little bit. Stephen Reddish said, "The dude on the left is weird. Looks like a Dollar General Jack Black." He's one of my muses. And my guy, Isaiah B. Washington, dude on the left says, "Your undivided attention." Steven, stop hating, bro. It looks bad on you. Hell yeah, Isaiah B. Happy Valentine's Day. I love you. Mwah. Let's see. What quarterback next year will really, let's see. Isaiah B. Washington, what quarterback next year will really give us competition? Our defense is still the top dogs. Bryce Young and CJ Stroud were bona fide A-list talent, and both came up short. Okay, so do you agree with that? Like, is anybody going to be able to challenge? Like, what is UGA returning defensively next season? Besides,
they're loaded on defense. That was a young defense this past year. Because you remember the year before they lost 6-7 guys to the NFL. Like, this was the rebuilding year with a bunch of younger guys on that side of the football. So you lost Chris Smith, you lost Keeley, you lost Jalen, but you returned most of the defensive line, linebackers, and the majority of the secondary as well. So like I'm telling you, like, this may be Georgia's best team over the past 3 years. So like, you look at the schedule and you're like, okay, which offense could give Georgia struggles? I don't think South Carolina will. Maybe Spencer Rattler in year 2, maybe Auburn. I don't think so. don't have a great quarterback situation. Definitely not Kentucky, not Vanderbilt, definitely not Florida, not Missouri. Ole Miss, maybe. I mean, the only game that was the worry last year and the only game that was going to be the worry this year is Tennessee. But you look at the past 2 years, Georgia's dominated Tennessee. They've taken care of business. Like Kirby has the game plan to slow down that offense. You look at them this year, Georgia held them to 13 points. 2021, they held them to 17 points. So they know how to stop that offense. So I feel pretty confident that once again this year, you're going to get a Georgia defense that's probably going to give up anywhere between 10 to 16 points per game.
Damn, dude. Unreal. Well, thank God Mike Bobo's there to screw all up now, because there's one offense that's going to give them trouble next year, Aaron. And it's the LSU Tiger offense led by Jaden Daniels as they go to Atlanta and seek revenge at a game I will be going to this time around because I know we're not going to get our ass kicked next year. I can't wait for LSU to win the West in the final year of the SEC, as we know it, at least. How about this from Connor O'Gara of Saturday Down South, at CJ O'Gara on Twitter? With Todd Monken off to the Ravens, we could be looking at as many as 12 SEC programs with either a new QB1 or a new offensive play caller in 2023. The only SEC teams bringing back the same QB1 and play caller, Vanderbilt and LSU. How good is that for LSU? What do you think here? Is this overrated? How much does this actually matter that there's this much new under center?
I think it's definitely not underrated for LSU. I think that's a huge thing for LSU, and that's what gives me confidence that LSU is going to win the West next year. I mean, hell yeah. The quarterback position is the most important position in all of sports, not just football, but of all of sports. And having that relationship between a quarterback and an OC to build, especially from year one to year two, like that's also the big difference. It's last year was Jaden's first year. And there was also a three-way quarterback competition last year. Now, all of a sudden, he's the guy. He knows the offense. They got good weapons around him. He got two freshman tackles that are back for their sophomore years. It's a really good football team. And he played better and better throughout the season. So I think you're going to see actually a significant jump from Jaden's play and also LSU offense as a whole. So I'm excited to see what they can do. So back to the bigger topic, like, yes, it is very, very important. The chemistry between coach, quarterback, play caller, quarterback. And I'll give an example for me and Bobo. Like Bobo, my first 2 years, it was like, okay, here's the play, go execute it. Then all of a sudden, year 2, year 3, year 4, it was a communication of what do you like? What do you see? And all of a sudden you saw our offense get better and better and better and better because of his trust in me, because of my ability to have some balls to say to Coach Bobo, I don't like that. I like this. This is what I'm seeing. As a freshman, I'm not going to tell Bobo to call this play.
No.
But sophomore, junior, and senior season, I'm going to say, Bobo, like, no, like we're not running that. I don't like that. Let's run this. That mutual respect goes a long way, but that takes some time and chemistry to build.
When did you first feel empowered to do it? Was it in the middle of the year, sophomore year? Was it during camp? Like when were you first like, nah, fam, like I think this is the play?
I would say like middle of the year, sophomore year that I started to really start to like, because I started to really see myself grow in the second year of the system. So I'm growing, I'm feeling better, I'm feeling more confident. Bobo's seeing the development. And then all of a sudden I started, like I said, having that confidence to tell Bobo, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. But, sometimes it didn't work. Like there was a player, I remember Vanderbilt, my junior year, there was a concept that I just did not feel good about. I'm like, Bobo, like I don't see it. I'm not on the same page with you. And then all of a sudden, like during the game, Bobo was like, Aaron, I don't care. Like we're running this. And I ended up throwing actually 3 touchdowns on the play that game. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So, like literally, we called it 3 times and we scored all 3 times. During the week, I kept telling Bobo, like, I don't like it. Don't call it. I don't feel good about it. Like I didn't execute it in practice well. And all of a sudden the game, it just fucking hit, man. 3 touchdowns, three times he called it.
That kind of sucks though, because that's like you give him so much like shut the fuck up and listen to me ammo from then on out, right? Like after that moment, all of a sudden he's like, remember what happened last time? Andy J talking about Georgia versus Tennessee says, I think we give Georgia, we being Tennessee, I think we give Georgia a tough game this year, but no W. need probably another strong class where we start challenging. Yeah, again, Tennessee doesn't need to be worried about beating Georgia.
No.
Would it be great? Absolutely, right? It'd be awesome. But Georgia, I always love using like space program analogies. Georgia is terraforming Mars. Okay. They like are starting to plant. They have colonists heading out to the big red dusty planet. Tennessee started sending satellites into orbit last year, right? They've had manned space flight missions. Maybe they're like landing on the moon right now. It takes years to build this stuff up, and they've done great and they've accelerated the process, but still a ways to go. Like Tennessee needs to worry about going at least 5-3 in the SEC, 9-3 to get the 10 wins of the bowl game. But if they can go, I think 6-2 would be ideally what Tennessee needs to do if they want to kind of build off the momentum of what they did this year. What was that quizzical look for, Aaron?
I think they're better than 5-3.
No. I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about what. I'm not talking about what I think they'll be. I'm talking about if you don't want people to throw up their hands and say, "Oh, flash in the pan," or this one year is just an exception to the 15 bad years. Like they have to prove to be the consistent second best team in the SEC East, which 5-3 or 6-2 probably gets you there, right? So like Tennessee's goals don't need to be beat Georgia just yet.
Yeah, I think Tennessee is like, if we could be the number 2, the issue is the East is going to be gone after this year. It's not going to really matter. So it's going to be kind of hard to judge, like me saying, oh, come 2024, if you're number 2 in the East, you'll probably make a playoff in a total same scenario. But also in 2024, we're not going to have an East and a West because of Texas and Oklahoma moving in. So, But if you can still stay on the heels of Georgia, even when Texas and Oklahoma join the SEC, the 3 top teams are still going to be Georgia, Alabama, LSU. I think LSU is on a trajectory that they're going to be fighting to make the playoffs every single year based on kind of what we saw last year, what they bring back this upcoming year. And obviously, how I feel about Brian Kelly. Yeah. If you can stay nipping at those 3 heels, you will be fighting to make it into the playoffs. I still think you're going to get 3, possibly 4 SEC teams in every year. If you could be right there on the verge of it, I think 3 are going to get in every year. If you could be that 4th that gets in every 1 to 3 years, I think Tennessee's in a good spot.
Yeah, I agree. And Tennessee, they do have, if the right guy is in place, they have the potential to be of the top 3, right? Like in a world where maybe in like 5 years or something, Alabama falls off because Nick Saban leaves, they don't find the right answer, or Brian Kelly and LSU ends up not working out, which, that could absolutely still happen. Like Tennessee has the resources, the buy-in, and everything else to maybe do it. So we'll see. Look at the coloring on that chorizo, Aaron. Isn't that kind of fascinating, dude? It almost looks like carrots. Dude.
The problem is the lack of focus on your camera really, doesn't make it look great.
Yeah, look at it, dude. It kind of looks arterial, like it looks like a human intestine or something. Brum, what's up, man? What's been going on, dude?
Not much, dude. Just double fisting records. You know how it goes.
Yeah, Brum's actually producing 2 podcasts at once right now.
I am Darth Maul of takes.
Yes. The first saber pops out and it just says snaps on it, and then the second one pops out and it says
not snaps.
Not snaps. There you go.
Yeah.
B2B Visor in the chat says, I'm a big fan of the 3-6 schedule format. Yeah, let's be clear. Andy Staples wrote about this, and I'll pull up the exact quote that I read, but he's wrote about this in The Athletic, and I think Andy's absolutely right. Like, okay, Oklahoma and Texas joining the SEC on time in 2024 shows us that college football is not filled with idiots who don't want to do the simple, correct decision, right? To me, it is beyond time to abandon to absolutely abandon any sort of conversation about the 8-game conference schedule. It's just dumb. It just doesn't make any sense. Only having one permanent opponent doesn't make any sense. You lose way too many great rivalries. Like as we're reforging this whole thing, it's time to just, just objectively look. What rivalries do we absolutely have to save? What games absolutely need to be played? And then around the edges, what opponent matchups are interesting that we can create and just do it. Like, here's what Andy wrote. If you have Texas and Texas A&M in your league and you don't have them play football annually, you are stupid. If you hijack the league schedule for almost 20 years to ensure to ensure Alabama and Tennessee play every season and then stop playing that series annually just when it's getting fun, you are stupid. If you stop playing the Deep South's oldest rivalry, Auburn, Georgia, annually, so Mississippi State can schedule another easy win, you are stupid. So, yes, I agree with the 9-game conference schedule. The 6 with the 3 opponents. You play everybody twice in 4 years. It makes all the sense in the world. Are we? So that's fair to say that Snaps were agreed on this? This is a firm Snaps team stance?
3-6.
Okay. One of my favorite things about the Andy Staples article you mentioned is like he acknowledges the elephant in the room. It's like they're going to build these conferences and 3-6 schedules for television because hey, here's a crazy idea. Let's put the most interesting games possible so we can put them on TV and lots of people will watch it and we'll make lots of money. Yes. The end.
Well, and the other part that I love about Staples' proposal is probably the main thing that's actually kind of maybe at odds with other stuff you've seen is, and again, it's something that like is actually so simple, but for some reason we're reticent to get there. He's like, and hey, guess what? If competitive balance gets screwed up, or one matchup is unexciting, you want to see a different one, just change it. Like, don't be like, yes, in your Iron Bowls, in your Old Worlds, like those are going nowhere, right? But like LSU has, I think he had like LSU A&M or Alabama A&M and like Mississippi State, right? Now Mississippi State and LSU have played a lot, but if you needed to shift that around, you could shift that around and like nobody would matter that much. So don't be married to it. Right. But 9 games with a 6-3, it's just so obviously the thing that needs to happen. And Greg Sankey needs to get everybody to go ahead and confirm it so they can start working on scheduling for 2024.
Yep, 100%. No, don't overcomplicate this. Don't worry about Auburn getting possibly screwed because they're going to play Georgia and Alabama and this and that. Like, it is what it is. It's a competitive league. You're going to have a competitive schedule. And at the end of the day, it's about putting the best product on TV. And ESPN, who is paying a boatload of money to get the rights to the entire SEC, want to be able to showcase an SEC game in all 3 spots: noon, 3:30, and 7. Whether that is on SEC Network, ESPN, ESPN2, or ABC. They're not going to allow the SEC to dick around with their scheduling. I mean, it's going to be an incredible day. You can get all you want from SEC. When Oklahoma and Texas join this conference, the games that we're going to have scheduled are going to blow your mind. Plus, your boy's going to be on one of them over here calling it, so even better.
Hell yes, dude.
T-Bob, can we get you as a play-by-play guy?
Bro, no. Put me on the sideline. Are you kidding me? I'm a Goosa guy. I'm a Saragusa guy. Like, let's be clear.
You want to be like Cole. You want to be
that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm sure I could train up and do like play-by-play, but no. Have me doing like a comedic hit where I'm like blowing a corn dog or something. Obviously we'll keep it a little more PG. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, just doing like classic fat guy stuff. That's like what you do on the sideline, right? I can do that. I even love Peloton too. Okay, so talk to your fellas over there at ESPN and put me on. Yeah, just jump me straight up to Aaron's ESPN broadcast team. I'm sure that makes a lot of sense.
Not that high up, so yes, we can make that happen.
Yeah. What was it? But no, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I legitimately did have like chills and goosebumps running through my body thinking about just college football again, but about that ESPN SEC schedule. It's going to be so damn good next year. Every single, I just can't wait for Saturdays again. I miss them already. It's kind of a huge bummer that we have to wait so long to get back there. Okay. Other things on the docket today. Man, we didn't leave ourselves much time for this. Aaron,
do you want to save it for tomorrow?
Look, I know. Well, we can. I at least want to. We could touch on it today, right? Traditional radio, you talk about the same thing like 7 times a show. But I know a thing or two about po' boys, right? I love po' boys. I eat them all the time. Of course, po' boys is short for poor boys. What I didn't know is that poor boys equals Notre Dame, as Notre Dame, despite losing Tommy Rees at the time in which they lost him, it looked like they had a very good replacement lined up. Andy Ludwig from Utah, who's been incredible at Utah. I mean, he's made Cam Rising an awesome quarterback. I didn't realize, Aaron, he was the OC at Utah back in the day when they went 13-0 and beat Alabama in that Sugar Bowl. So he's done great, right? He's the architect of offenses and won back-to-back Pac-12 championships. He was their guy, their number one target. Well, of course he's going to leave Utah and go to Notre Dame, except Notre Dame wouldn't pay the $2.8 million buyout that that Utah needed for the contract. And I'm of two minds with this, because on one hand, it's almost admirable that Notre Dame is refusing to feed into the massive, massive monetary waste of college football that we're always talking about, for people just take money and light it on fire. But on the other hand, it kind of shows that they're not that serious about college football. Like, this is why Brian Kelly left. If Brian Kelly asks Scott Woodward for $3 million to hire someone, you best believe, even in an economy as awful as Louisiana, Scott Woodward's coming up with the $3 million. Not the case at Notre Dame, who you think of as being very, very wealthy.
Yes. Yeah. Plenty of money. I don't know. I don't want to, yeah. To me, there has to be something else of like, is he really our guy? Do we really want him? Because Notre Dame and the tradition and the fan base and everything that does go in the football, you would think that if Freeman really wanted Ludwig as his offensive coordinator, they could muster up $2 million to get him.
Maybe, dude. I don't know.
To me, that's not outrageous for an institution like Notre Dame to be able to pull together. Maybe it was like a Freeman, like, you sure you really want him? Is there someone else that we could maybe get that's not going to cost us $2 that could be just as good? I don't know. I'm interested to see what other names come up that we're thinking that, like, okay, they're not willing to pay it, or there's someone else behind the scenes that is going to emerge. Like, oh, that's why they didn't want to pay it, because they can get this guy without having to waste $2 million, who's on an even playing field. But if they're some guy that
well, I was just going to say they're an academic program. I mean, like, as a school, right? They definitely think of themselves that. And I don't care how much money you have. A lot of professors don't like $2.8 million being spent just to hire someone, right? Like that is always going to raise some sort of outcry, depending on how much your president or your board maybe cares about football. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so you're saying, Aaron, then if this is a game of Texas Hold'em, like, their last out here on the river is them flipping over an even better candidate. Yes. But I think it's going to be hard to get a better candidate than Andy Ludwig. I mean, the other guy that they wanted was Colin Klein at Kansas State, and he apparently said no, from what I read. Which, red flag? Well, not even Marcus Freeman can make Notre Dame cool?
Yeah, but I talked to Colin during the Sugar Bowl, and Colin and I were in the same class together coming out, and he went to Kansas State. He loves Kansas State. His wife loves Kansas State as much as you love that chorizo you're eating right now. Like, there is something to be said about the feeling of being home. And obviously the success that he had last year, they have their starting quarterback coming back. Unless you're getting some incredible deal from Notre Dame money-wise, like, there is, as we all know, some hurdles at Notre Dame. There's a reason why Brian Kelly left. Like, yes, it is hard to win at Notre Dame, at least the championship. I'm not saying you could do it at Kansas State, but at least at Kansas State, you're also in a conference right now that's losing Texas and Oklahoma. So the path to success and being consistent there is all of a sudden going to get a lot easier come 2024. So I think he kind of views it as I'm home. I'm in a place that I played at, a place that I love, and a conference that there is a path to consistency. I don't blame him for wanting to stay at Kansas State.
Oops, yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's complete. And it's something that we do undervalue a lot of times, are the just like base human elements of all this. Like, hey, what if a guy's actually content and happy, right? That he's not going to be very tempted to leave. We'll see where we will see where this hire ends up going. I know I'm reading some Notre Dame kind of fan posts, and they're saying that it is an administrator. I don't know. I'll see if I can get some more clear answers, as some of this is still speculation about the buyout being the ultimate hangup. But Ludwig does look like the perfect candidate on paper. I mean, granted,
Yeah,
you
I
had Tommy
agree.
Reese, who's very like young and exciting, but Ludwig's super experienced, got a hell of a resume. He's obviously very good at developing quarterbacks. I mean, he's done a hell of a job with Cam Rising. We'll see. Poor Notre Dame. Miami also hired a new OC, but we'll get to that tomorrow on Snaps. Aaron, no Harry Potter legacy yet?
No. Too busy putting together treats for Maddox's class today for Valentine's Day last night. So,
oh, that's very sweet.
Soft.
Is Sharon?
I know.
Is Sharon a Potter fan? I can't remember. Did I ask you this yesterday?
Oh yeah, she's Slytherin all the way.
Okay,
She's Slytherin. Yeah.
One of the
I
good
think
parts
Maddox
about
is
the
a little Slytherin, or he's a Hufflepuff. Soft ass Hufflepuff.
Until you, my son doesn't have a personality yet, but he looks like a Hufflepuff because he's pretty doughy. He is pretty fat.
He looks pretty. He looks a little Weasley-esque right now.
Oh, that's true, dude. He has that orange hair. He does look like a. He looks.
He
Yeah, he does look like
a
Arthur and
Weasley.
Molly. Maybe his actual parents. Okay, here's what I would say to try to convince you again to play Harry Potter Legacy for like the 7th day in a row. It is a fun couples game. Like if she is also someone into Potter, especially the first couple hours of the game, you can actually sit there and play together, and it's super chill and super fun.
Well, if we can play together.
Do you have a PS5 though?
Oh, you can't play like on a PC. You have to play like on an actual.
No, you can play it on a PC. Do you have
console.
like a gaming? Do you have like a good gaming computer though?
I have whatever the volume got me. So
You can absolutely play games on that computer.
Okay.
Oh, really? Does he have a badass gaming laptop, bro?
It's not as badass as yours, but he got a very nice laptop because we were
hell yeah.
because we were having some technical difficulties about 48 hours before we were supposed to launch. So he got a very nice laptop to make sure it works.
Let's go, dude. Okay, get on Steam, make an account, download. Download what you call download Legacy, bro. Ray tracing's about to get patched in on the PC. Isaiah B watches Gryffindor all day. I got sorted into Ravenclaw because I'm a little smart boy. What could I say? Y'all have a great day. Hey, listen. Thank you to everybody who hangs out with us here in chat, man. We really do love y'all. We love seeing new people, old people, everybody. Thank you for chilling with us today. Huge thank you to everybody who helps make Snap happens. Guy Ryan Brumley, Paul Farron, and Pat Gunner, Danny Cardenas, Adam Gracia. Huge thank you to Aaron Murray. Huge thank you to Colin Cowherd and the Volume Sports for having us here. And please, y'all, if you like the show and you want to support the show, a couple ways you can do it. You can always like and subscribe to the Volume. And then as far as the podcast go, rate it, review it, share it with your friends. We love you. And we'll see you tomorrow for some more snaps.